Welcome, my fellow wannabes. Welcome to another edition of the Wannabe Critic. I am your host, Gabriel Fast, and joining me via Zoom is my brother, Carter Fast. Carter, how you feeling, man?
I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
You're
not sick yet.
Yeah, your setup is pretty nice, actually.
Thanks.
What are you okay? Are you looking at the camera? Or are you looking at something else?
I am trying to pull you up right now.
You looked a little mental there for a minute, like you might be quote unquote special.
Well, that was never a question.
Yeah, that's true.
How do I make you bigger? There we go.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Nice. There you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to kind of be talking about some more, unfortunately, I feel like COVID-19 is like this pretty much like the topic of conversation every single day, but we're also going to be doing kind of like a soft review for Animal Crossing as well as announcing something at the end of the show, so make sure you stay tuned. Carter, let's just kind of get right into it, man. How have you been? It's been a while since you've been on the show, and I think the last time you were on the show, I think it was still Geekly Bi-Weekly, so how you been, man?
Been doing good. Yeah, I think it's definitely been a while. I think last year sometime, so it's been...
Yeah, I think it's actually been longer than that, because we were actually going to try and start our own show, our little sub-show, which I think was going to be like Conned or something like that, but it just never happened. And plus you sold your Switch, so there's that.
Yeah, well, and then somebody bought me a new one. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I bought you one for anniversary, but no need to go into no need to go into those details. Obviously, you've been playing Animal Crossing. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later, as I said in the beginning. What else has been new? I mean, you moved, didn't you?
Yep, I moved, and I've been playing video games. Same old. Nothing exciting.
What have you been playing?
Besides Animal Crossing, because we know that's very important right now. I randomly got into Rocket League, and that's been taking a lot of my time.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of that thing with Fortnite, right? Where it's like once you... there's a very specific feeling that game gives you, and once you have that, and like whenever you're good at it, like you kind of want to ride that as long as you can. Like you keep like searching for that like endorphin rush or whatever that you might get from that particular game. And I'm sad to say I've never experienced that with Rocket League, but I think it's dope that you have. I downloaded it because you asked me to, but I still haven't touched it, still haven't messed with it, still haven't really done anything with it.
We're gonna have to play, so
okay. Well, I'll give it another chance.
I'm gonna make you like it. You will like it.
Man, I don't know. Has that ever worked in our childhood ever?
You're gonna like it.
Okay. All right. We'll see. So don't be afraid to look at your camera too, because right now everyone's like, "Who is this guy?" But that's okay. It's your first Zoom podcast. It's okay, people. He's not gonna bite you. Don't worry.
It's going on the YouTubes.
Yep, it's going on the YouTubes.
Oh no.
Yeah, from here on out, pretty much every podcast we do is going to be going up on YouTube, because I just started a brand new YouTube feed for the podcast, trying to kind of expand the show, and I feel like that, if I'm going to sit down and do this show on a pretty regular basis, why not make it the best out of it and go ahead and upload it to YouTube just like everybody else, because 10 to 20 more views or listens on top of what we get on all of our other platforms is another 10 or 20 that will make me very proud to keep on doing this. What are you drinking tonight, Carter?
Well, I was drinking a Paloma, but it's gone.
What is that?
It's like grapefruit juice and tequila.
Is it good?
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Nice. I'm not a big tequila guy. Not for me.
Yeah, I'm normally not, but India made me this drink.
Yeah, I mean, I like...
I've been hooked on it.
I like margaritas. Like, I really do. But I'm not, like, huge into... I don't know. There's just something about tequila. The taste of it, I'm not super duper crazy about.
The taste.
The taste of tequila. Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is the Wannabe Critic. Thank you so much for tuning in. I just wanted to kind of let you know, for those of you who are watching... on YouTube, the light is making my face like super duper saturated, and right now there's not a whole lot I can do about it, but right now it's about 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and the sun's going to be going down, so you might be seeing the light change. Just wanted to give you a heads up. So Carter's been playing some video games, been playing some Rocket League. Obviously, there's that random game that you play here and there on your Switch that we kind of talk about, and I think it's a good time to go ahead and tell everybody that, hopefully, well, we'll leave that for the end of the show. So make sure you stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. So, Carter, I mean, you're in Arkansas. You're down there with Mikey. Mikey's who's become somewhat of a host on the show. How are you coping with the fact that Arkansas has like the worst rating for COVID-19 and social distancing in the entire United States?
Well, I didn't know that was a thing.
It is. I looked on. There's this thing. There's this thing. There's this traffic log, and Arkansas has like a D.
As far as like the people aren't following regulations.
Yeah, like back whenever the stay-at-home orders and things were kind of getting more into full swing, people, like there was heavy amounts of traffic in the southern areas. So you just didn't know.
So we're in the northern area, or we're in the northwest. So it is still bad though. No, I mean, it's gotten a little more. People are wearing face masks and stuff, but I mean, most of the stores, it's pretty much a free for all, from what it seems like.
Yeah, well, and I think like, I don't know. I feel like there's people who kind of like are forced to be staying at home, and I also think there's other people that are deemed as essential jobs, but really they're non-essential jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole thing, I'm just ready for it all to be done because I don't know.
I think
sucks.
Everybody is. It's getting irritating.
It is getting irritating. It's kind of frustrating, but life will go on. So how have you been? How have you been coping with this whole thing? I mean, your routine really hasn't changed that much, has it?
No, not a whole lot. I have a tiny bit less responsibility than normal, but for the most part, I'm still working like 4 or 5 days a week. And I would say my video game playing has gone up. So in some ways it's been, I mean, a lot of people think it's been kind of nice. It's nice for the first little bit and then it starts to get old.
Yeah.
But it's been good. I mean, no one's sick where we are, or no one that I know has gotten sick yet. So
yeah, that's good. Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like the things that are happening on the coasts could definitely happen in our areas that we're in, but it hasn't really gotten to that point yet. But it's nice to see that you're kind of keeping your spirits up, and more video games is always good. And like, I don't know. I feel like Animal Crossing, which is kind of like our main topic for today. I feel like Animal Crossing is, when we talked about this a little bit whenever we went camping about a month or so ago. It's one of those games where it's going to help people stay in like a normal-ish routine. You know what I mean? Or it feels like it gives people something to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, for you and I, we play a lot of games, so we have a lot of distractions. But for most people there's a lot of people who play Animal Crossing just for a distraction, and that's kind of what it's given a lot of people, and so that's something that's really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it is kind of that thing of like, there's all these podcasters and stuff, and they have very specific games that they play, and they don't play everything. They have a handful that they might play, whereas I'm the type of person, if someone tells me that something's cool, or that that they're like, hey, this game does this, this, and this, and it's all these things that are super appealing to me, somebody who from the past 6 or 7 years has really tried to kind of build up a repertoire of gaming knowledge and has really tried to play a lot of things kind of at a time where that was so impressionable. Somebody says, hey, this game's awesome. If I see it on sale, I'm going to buy it. There's a rare occasion where I might go out and buy something. If everybody that I'm listening to is not shutting up about a game, it's like, okay, well, I better freaking buy it, and check it out right now. But long story short, I'm the type of person that there are way too many games on my list that I've played, put 5 to 10 hours in and enjoyed it. And there's very few that I will sit down and actually put time into. But the people that are playing Animal Crossing, like, they're pretty much a large majority of that audience is really in it for every experience that game has to give. And I don't
Yeah.
know. Like there's this old guy. Well, this old guy. Sorry. He actually he's over at he has a Twitch channel and all this other stuff, and he actually made a set, a talk show set, and he's calling it Animal Talking. And what's kind of interesting is he's like inviting other people to come on the show, and I mean Polygon even did a write up on it, and it's actually the guy that wrote Rogue One, which is kind of interesting to me. Yeah, but he's like obsessed with Animal Crossing. He bought 3 copies of that game for him, his wife, and his daughter, and like there are those people out there that are doing that thing so that they can have that experience with those people. Well, I mean, it's just kind of crazy how like much power a game can have over somebody. Like you saw me kind of casually playing it while we were camping, and I was laying in my hammock. And, you're like, yeah, I might get it. I don't know. And then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, I got him hooked already. You know what I mean? Like this obviously looks fun to him. It's just pulling the trigger of that $60. I mean,
Yeah, that's the thing too. Well, we can get more. I don't know if we're to the point in the conversation.
Go for it. It's full send. Go for it. Anything goes.
I don't know. Animal Crossing isn't a game that looks appealing to me until I'm playing it, and then like you just lose track of time so quick. So actually, whenever I was watching you play it, I was like, I've played Animal Crossing. I don't need it in it. I probably won't get it. But the more I thought about it, especially with everything going on with the virus, it was like, okay, might as well pull the trigger and spend a little time. And it's turned into a lot of time.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that for sure. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I had to fix my lighting situation. It was driving me nuts. I was just like full on white face, and it's still a little bit over here, but it is what it is. Yeah, I definitely know what you're saying though about on paper. What are you laughing at?
I just don't remember what you were talking about.
Oh, it's okay. Well, it's okay. On paper, a Animal Crossing is not really a Gabe game. Like really on paper, it's not, and never really had been. But the thing about it is it's like there's just something about that game. It just has a charm to it. And I love that the way you're supposed to play the game is like you sit down with it, right, for, an hour or 2 tops usually is kind of what it's designed for per day. And, it's kind of one of those things where like I sit down and like I did my chores for the day, or whenever I first was playing, it was like, okay, I did my chores for today. I pretty much accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. It's time to sign off, and it's time to go play Pokemon or go play whatever, you know what I mean, the other games that I'm trying to work on. So in a sense, it's almost kind of like, I've heard it being compared to like a mobile game or like a phone game. And in that regard, I think it is kind of that thing of like even just checking in and checking the thing to get your Nook miles or whatever. Like that's enough to keep that streak for me because I'm always doing something to progress. And that's the cool thing about this game is you might be seeing me play this game doing something completely different. Or you might be seeing me play this game doing something completely different than what you're going to do or what you want to do. Like for me, my main objective in Animal Crossing is I want to make a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. A lot of people are more concentrated on like customizing their islands. It's not something I really care about that, a bunch. And we're kind of going to get into that a little bit whenever we start talking about, our criticisms with the game so far at this point. And overall, I'm really enjoying the game. I'm really enjoying everything about it. And there are a couple of things that I wish were a little bit different. And granted, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this and you've played, hundreds of hours of Animal Crossing games and you've played, whatever, like you're an Animal Crossing god, that's fine. I think I checked today. I've just now crossed 50 hours playing the game, which, I don't want to say that's rare for me because I don't think that's true, but I mean, there are plenty of other Switch games that I've been playing that don't have that amount of time. Do you know how much time you have in the game?
This is kind of laughable for a lot of people, but I think I have like 35. So I'm on the low side, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a certain amount of, the time is supposed to pass the same based on how much you played the game, like for everybody. So, like, no matter what, if you play the game right every day, in like a week or two's time, you'll get Isabelle. And then, I'm at the point now where Nook and Cranny is finally getting to the point to where they want to expand for a second time.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of cool how the game tends to move on without you in a way. And I've even seen videos of people that will, time travel 20 years ahead of time, and like everyone from their island is gone and like all this stuff. And it's kind of crazy like to think about, but I don't know. It's just, it's a very unique ecosystem with how this game works. And you said you've played Animal Crossing before in the past. Like, what are the biggest differences, would you say, between New Horizon and the one that you played in the past?
So I played the one on Wii, and a lot of people that are playing this game are coming from New Leaf, and I think there was a lot of features even on New Leaf that I hadn't seen before. So like you couldn't in the Wii version you couldn't customize your island at all, and that's a huge thing. Like being able to do that now, that completely adds a whole another layer to the game that can keep you busy for a super long time. And I know of people that have like 1,000 hours on like the GameCube version and the Wii version, and I it's kind of blows my mind because it doesn't seem like there would be enough to do, but it's like that gameplay loop that you were talking about. There is enough to do where you can get on an hour every day, and you might not see progress immediately, but over time you come to know your villagers, and it's just a different experience for everybody. So that's what I really like about this game is just experimenting with customizing the island. And there's little like quality of life changes, like being able to customize the whole layout of your room. You couldn't do that before. There was no storage system. So if you wanted to store stuff, you just had to put it on your floor. Okay. So there's just a lot of quality of life changes in New Horizon.
Yeah, it was one of those things for me where, like I said before, this is my first time playing an Animal Crossing game, and it's kind of crazy to me how the fan base has been not divided, but it's kind of crazy how this is just such a different time we're living in now, where people are responding to this game in such a weird way. Like, people are comparing it to the older games, and supposedly this game's supposed to have like pretty much the most features that you can have out of an Animal Crossing game. And I can't imagine not being able to, like stylize my house the way it is, and I can't imagine not having a storage system. And the thing is like there's a lot of things that I think Animal Crossing has kind of learned from like the Stardew Valleys and things like that make it feels more like Stardew Valley to me than anything I'd ever seen before in Animal Crossing. And I don't know, because you've played a lot of Stardew Valley, do you think that for Animal Crossing to kind of be relevant again, or to, I don't know, be impactful, they kind of had to take some of those quality of life things that make the gameplay loop in something like Stardew Valley? Like, do you think that they took some of those things to put in this game on purpose for that reason?
I mean, I'm sure that they definitely looked at Stardew Valley because I still think Stardew Valley is, even after this game, I think it's the best game that's like this.
Like just casual, kind of like,
casual, like life simulator type game. Just because there's so much to do. And that kind of gets into my complaint of Animal Crossing, is that there's so much to do over a long period of time. Like there's such a progression, but like in what you're actually doing in the game, it doesn't keep me held anything like what something like Stardew Valley does. And even with all that they've added, I think they definitely looked at Stardew Valley and saw some things that they could change, but it's still way different than Stardew Valley.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because in Stardew Valley, I mean, you have a legit farm. Whereas, you know, a few years ago, like I would have never understood why anyone would play Stardew Valley. And it wasn't until about like last year, I think I picked it up. And then I actually sat down and put 10, 12 hours into it. And then it was one of those things where it finally clicked for me. And I was like, oh, this makes sense. Yeah, this is cool. This is a new... It's kind of like trying sushi for the first time. Like, you're not really sure if you like sushi the first time you try it, but then once you find a sushi that you really like, then you're willing to like try anything. And I found myself in Stardew kind of like just experimenting with different things. Like, a lot of people just focus on trying to make money. As soon as I unlocked the mine, I was in the mine like every single time. Like, every single day, I would just go to the mine and try and get as far as I could. And I'd come back with stuff, you know. And go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I remember it was kind of funny because whenever I was playing Stardew Valley a lot, I told you, I was like, dude, it is just so fun to see like all the different ways you can make money and see how fast you can make money. And as far as that goes, I think it's way more fun to make money in Stardew than Animal Crossing, just because there's so many different ways you can do it. And there is a challenge to it. So whenever you told me recently that you've been getting tarantulas and stuff in Animal Crossing and trying to make as much money as you could, I kind of made fun of you in my mind because you gave me such a hard time for that in Stardew.
Yeah. Well, that's, you know, that would be a very on brand thing to do for me. And, you know, it borderline, it comes down to like, there's been multiple times across our gaming, you know, relationship where you've recommended something to me and I'm like, man, I've tried it. I don't know if I like this. And then you say, well, do you just like want to hate on it? And it's like, no, I don't want to hate on this thing. It's just not clicking for me. Yeah. And, you know, I think like the biggest one in our gaming thing was like Borderlands 2, right? Where you would tell me over and over again, dude, you quit using Zero. Like, he looks awesome, but quit using him because he's not a beginner character. I'm like, isn't that the whole point? Like, I want to be able to use a character that I think is cool, you know? And it eventually kind of took me, you know, just basically forcing myself to get to a certain point in the game where it did finally click for me. And that's all that it was with Stardew as well, was the same thing where once I did get to that 10 to 12 hour mark where I'm making consistent money every single day and experiencing things that I've never really thought about in a video game before and experiencing like a newer style, that's kind of where a lot of the game, it added a layer to my critiquing side of things, you know what I mean? Because a game like Stardew helped me appreciate a game like, I think I've told you about it, Moonlighter, where literally in Moonlighter, the object of the game, it's basically you're just going to the mine in Stardew is what it feels like. Like you're going to the mine in Stardew, you have a shop, you go and you pick up all these things and you're trying to get the best price out of those things, like to keep the shop alive, basically. And I remember playing this and I'm like, oh, this is just kind of like the other side of Stardew. Like like Stardew is yin and freaking Moonlighter is yang. Like, it's more combat focused than casual focused. But I feel like those experiences helped me to come to appreciate something like Animal Crossing New Horizons. Because now it's like it is that thing of I pop in once or twice a day. Mm-hmm. My biggest thing is whenever a game can make me text my friends every single day, like, dude, awesome. What are your turnip? I'm like, what are your turnips at? Every day. And it's like, you guys are at work. I'm doing stuff too. I'm not actively on Animal Crossing, but I want to know that I have something to look forward to later whenever someone does message me and is like, hey, my turnips are at whatever, you know, and it's just that slight little real life tangible piece of hope that this weird thing that I'm taking part in, I'm looking forward to something, you know, because I'll sit down and play a video game on my PS4 or whatever, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is great. You know, right now I'm in Persona and I'm having a great time with it. I don't look forward to Persona the same way that I look forward to turning on Animal Crossing every single day. Like, it's just, and I don't know that I've played a game in a long time that makes me feel that way. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I feel like, you know, and this is very much speaking from the heart right now, like we haven't really gotten into the things that we'd like to see change. And I like where you're coming from on, you kind of, you know, in a game like Stardew, there's more things to do, whereas Animal Crossing, the devs are going to keep you invested as long as possible and release content over the course of years. I mean, literal years. This is going to be the first Animal Crossing game aside from New Leaf, because New Leaf had this expansion. Basically, they re-released the game with an expansion, and you can message me in the comments if I'm wrong about this, but they released the game and then they re-released it with all this added content. Whereas now in New Horizons, we're going to be getting continued content. Like, they just released the update where there's more things to decorate your island. There's the art gallery, right? How many things are going to open up? And at what point is it going to be, oh my God, you can buy a new island and do whatever you want with it and have, you can have campers on that island too. I mean, what are some things that you'd like to see Animal Crossing improve on? Because you said you kind of had some things you wanted to say.
Well, I think this is where, like, you either like I think people either like Animal Crossing or they don't. And I love Animal Crossing, but kind of when you break it down, I don't know. Sometimes I think about, like, what am I doing? If I'm spending a lot of time on something, it's like, what am I? Because I know all video games are sort of a waste of time. But sometimes I just get in this mind frame where I ask myself, I'm like, what am I doing in this game? And when you put it down plainly, it's just you're shaking trees, you're hitting rocks, and you're fishing. And you could smash rocks too and cut down trees. And then that's the major gameplay mechanic, like, of collecting resources. And so I don't know. I don't even know what I would add, because a lot of people, this is a 10 out of 10 game. Like, it's a perfect game for a lot of people. And there's going to be a lot of people who spend 1,000 or more hours on it. And eventually, I'm hoping to spend a lot of time with it. But I would like to see, and another thing is, I mean, you've probably seen videos and stuff, but it takes a long time to unlock everything. So I don't know if there's just stuff that I'm not getting to yet, but it feels a little bit like there's just not quite enough to do, if that makes any sense. But that's also the point. Like, you're not supposed to play for hours and hours a day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I definitely see where you're coming from. And I think that is kind of the biggest complaints about this game. Like, somebody like even Chrissy Teigen has been playing this game, and a lot of the things that people, the people who are professionally reviewing this game, a lot of the things that they're saying about the game are, I wish I had more to do in this game. Like, I don't necessarily want to be left to my own devices. I want to be told what to do and where to go. So to me, that's kind of like the same problem as what I have. And granted, every single day, it's not like I go every single day and go around at my island and sweep and look for fossils. Do I love getting fossils and taking them to Blathers and doing stuff? Yeah, that's like one of my favorite things ever, because there's a really good chance that he's going to say, like, oh my God, like, I don't have any of this stuff yet, blah, 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 blah. And then I got to assess all of them and whatever. And I love that aspect of it. I love it. Periodically, a week or so will go by and I'll go in it's been a while since I've been in my museum, but I know I've turned in fossils. And a lot of times I will, when I'm going, I recently just moved all my trees from all around the island to one central part of the island. So I don't actually go and venture out in other parts of my island very often, because I pretty much chop down the rest of the trees to make room for other stuff that I want to do later. But it is that thing of, whenever I turn the game on, I have a very specific idea or purpose or a goal that I want to achieve. It's like, I want to go see what my turnips are at, and I want to, shake my fruit out and sell my fruit for the day, because I've had like 100K in fruit every time the trees are full. So it's like, that's my goal, is I want to make money. But it seems like almost every single time, unless I just absolutely force myself, I always get distracted by something. And, that dang Isabel, man, like, she'll let you know, hey, you got a new camper. You know what I mean? There's someone that's checking out the island. And am I a bad person for, if I don't like that particular animal, like, not inviting them to stay on my island? Because right now the overall quest is to get KK Sliders to come and play on the island, which, to my knowledge, that's when the credits roll, is whenever you can successfully get KK Sliders to come play a concert on your island, all of your dwellers, basically, like they are sitting in this concert, and that's when obviously the game's not over, but that's when the credits roll. So, you know, it's kind of crazy that I can want so much yet still have something to do. Yeah. But the main quest right now is like get more people to live here. It's like, well, the past 3 people that have come here, I'm not real crazy about, you know, like I don't know, there's not really anything special about them, and I really like building my Nook miles. Like, I like having a plethora of Nook miles to spend on whatever I want. So, like, right now I think I'm sitting on like 20,000 Nook miles or something, which is probably nothing to some people. But, you know, and we think about someone like Joe, who, to my knowledge, like pretty much anytime Joe has enough Nook miles to go somewhere, he leaves and he goes and, you know, he'll go tarantula hunting or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Sure. That's cool. But I want to save mine because I don't necessarily want to go tarantula hunting every single night. But it's kind of crazy how, as I said before, there's so much to do in this game, and yet it's so simplistic the way that they go about it. Because for me, I've gotten to the point to where I know pretty much everything in my Critterpedia. Like, I know all the stuff that I've caught, so there's nothing left really for me right now to try and go after or be on the lookout for, unless, you know...
Wait, you've caught everything?
I haven't caught it. Well, so you won't be able to catch everything because there's be some stuff that will come only at a certain season. So there's going to be things like there's going to be fish that you can only catch during a specific season, and they will not. And like specific things you can only catch at certain times a day in a certain area. So pretty much everything that I come across right now is like stuff I already have. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I see.
But I mean, some people who already have everything have been time traveling through this entire thing.
Yeah.
So, but it does make me wonder, like, are they going to add whole new sections to the Critterpedia? Or are they going to add, like, what are they going to do? Because as I was kind of alluding to before, people are already kind of burnt out on this game. Like, people are already kind of not naysaying it, but they're saying, like, this isn't as good as what's come before, which is crazy to me because, to my knowledge, as I said before, this is the most in-depth version of this game you can get. So is there like a layer of simplicity that's missing in this game for some diehard fans? I mean, what do you think?
Not that I know of. That doesn't make any sense to me if people are saying, I mean, if you just look at Nintendo's games, they've always been a little more simplistic. So it's been a while since an Animal Crossing was on a system like the Switch. I mean, it was on DS,
a home console.
Like a home console. Yeah. So maybe it's just a little bit to get used to Nintendo's style for something like this after so long.
Yeah.
Because I would say it's definitely more simplistic than other first-party games.
Yeah,
consoles.
There's this like idea behind it that like less is more, and it's these little things that we're talking about, the little gameplay elements that are so simplistic yet have such depth to them. Like you can do so many things just by pressing the button A. You know, like you can shoot a slingshot, you can, you know, hit the rocks, you can chop down the trees. There's all these different things you can do just by pressing A and moving the joystick around. But I've seen people, here's where it gets interesting for me. And I understand it to some degree. So the crafting element, you know, the recipes and things like that have now come into play, which weren't really present before, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now you have all these abilities. For instance, like I got super stoked because like a week into getting the game, there was a recipe that popped up in my Nook thing, but I have no way to get any of those materials right now. Yet I have the recipe for it. So it's like a robot. It's like a robot guy or something.
Do you need like computer parts and stuff?
Yeah. Do you know how to get those?
No, I've heard about this though, because I was actually listening to a podcast about this game, and like they were talking about the same thing. Like they have a couple recipes that they have no idea how to get this stuff.
Yeah, and that kind of blows my mind a little bit, because why would you let me kind of chase the carrot, so to speak, knowing that I'm not going to get it for quite some time? I don't know. It just kind of seems by that time I will probably have forgotten what I might need to to do the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's just little things like that. And then, so I have the recipe for that. One thing that a lot of people are complaining about is the tool system. So before, your tools could not break, correct?
From what I remember, they couldn't break. Yeah.
So I want to talk about this for a second, because to me, you know, you maintain tools in real life, you should be able to keep them for quite some time. But in this video game, I would be lying if I didn't say that it does get semi-annoying knowing that there's no way for me to craft a permanent tool as of right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the final tools are unbreakable or whatever. But I have a question for you.
What?
So I think the normal axe, how many trees do you think you can cut down with the normal axe? Like, it's like a bunch. It's like 25, 30
trees that you can cut down? No, it's not that much. No way.
Really?
Oh, yeah, okay. I think it's probably like 7 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah, that's silly.
Like
that's
8,
one thing.
8 to 10.
I just think it's completely unnecessary. Like that there already is like no skill to the game besides catching some bugs. Like you have to sneak up on them, and you have like there's a little bit of skill with catching tarantulas, but once you figure it out, like you've figured it out. So it seems like they added that element of tools breaking just to be.
It's busy work.
Just add another layer of.
Yeah, I agree, and that's people. But is that worth saying? Like, is that being one of the determining factors of like this game is so annoying?
No.
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing, and that's kind of where the toxic liberal Twitterverse comes into play. Is like people are complaining about this thing and saying that they're not going to pick the game up again for quite some time, and to me, I'm like, well. The game is so much more than just a handful of tools. Is it annoying? Yeah, I do think it's annoying, and I wish there was a way to somehow get some sort of, I don't know, get a recipe to... I mean, if the game gives you a way to cure bug bites, basically, being stung by wasps, they should be able to give you a recipe that will enhance the quality of your tools. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that, or, I mean, just a way to upkeep your tools. Like, yeah. Go take them to the crafting station and sharpen them or whatever.
Yeah, give us a craftsman. Yeah. Give us a craftsman or something that can do all kinds of things with tools, and God forbid, add some sort of like alternative way for us to use our tools. Yeah. I don't know. It just because once you craft a diamond pickaxe in Minecraft, it eventually still breaks. Correct?
Right.
So, but it lasts like hella long.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, I think, where a lot of the criticism is coming into play. Again, I do think it's warranted, not to the extent that it's being presented.
It's not a survival game.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I mean, if you're comparing it to Minecraft, Minecraft is a survival game, and there's a purpose, there's a reason that your tools are breaking. It's because it's trying to be semi-realistic, even though the graphics obviously aren't. This game is one of the most casual games I've ever played. There's no reason your tools should be breaking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And it's not like there's a lack of things to craft or there's a lack of things to build and a lack of things to do. It's kind of like we said, it's just one little thing of it's busy work. There's no reason for these things to be breaking, you know, and I don't know. That's probably my biggest, not my biggest gripe, but one of the things I definitely wanted to talk about because it kind of seems counterintuitive a little bit. It's like we have all of these things to craft. And here's what else is funny is your vaulting pole doesn't break.
Yeah.
It's never broken.
Which would be the easiest thing to break.
Exactly. Just the logic there. Like, I don't know. It just one of the things that I kind of wanted to bring out. I gotta say, there's little things in this game that really stink and crack me up. I have this villager, and he's like an elephant. And for whatever reason, like every time it's nighttime, he puts on exercise clothes. Do you have anyone at your island that does that?
No, I have a couple that just work out all the time.
Okay, so they're like always in exercise clothes?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, yeah, I
Or
have.
like they'll just be walking around, literally like doing bicep curls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, like the elephant guy, he's this elephant. He has like this green jumper on, and like literally every time you see him, if you pan the camera down, he's like, this is what he looks like. He's all like, he's just like grinning ear to ear, and like every time I see that guy, it just makes me laugh for like 5 minutes. Like I can't stop. I'm like, this guy's such an idiot, and he'll. One of my favorite things is whenever they're dressed in something funny and then they try and chase you, like they're like trying to get your attention, like they're running at you. I try and run away like almost every time because I don't want to have to talk to them. But it's just, I don't know, little things like that totally add to the game. How do you feel like the multiplayer element works in this game?
I think it's really irritating both ways. Like going into a match and getting into the matches is irritating, but once you're there, it is fun. But there's just a huge like wait time for no reason. Like if someone's joining, when someone's joining your village or whatever, there's like this whole screen that comes up of them joining, and it takes a good. It feels like 30 seconds. I don't know how long it actually is,
Yeah,
but
there.
it's kind of crazy, especially if you're gonna have a bunch of people join your island.
Yeah, it's definitely not
It's
a. It's definitely
ridiculous.
not a seamless experience.
No,
Um,
but once you're there, it is pretty fun.
yeah, yeah, I agree with that. And honestly, like, there's one thing that I wish the game would let you do. I wish that your friends, once you know, because here's the thing, like your island gets a certain amount of people on it. It can only hold a certain amount of people.
Yeah,
How cool would it be for your friends, like your best friends, to have access to your island, and you might have to tell one of your current residents, like, hey, you got to go away, and they can work on your island and like build a house on your island and like make that a second place for them. I don't know. I feel like that would add a level of community that kind of makes it feel more realistic. I don't know, not realistic, but I don't know. It just seems like a way to take it a little bit further. And I know that
yeah.
kind of goes against the whole Animal Crossing thing. It's not people crossing, but I don't know. I feel like if you're going to put a multiplayer element inside of a game, why not really break the mold? Which
Yeah.
a game like
I
this, how are you going to go for it?
when I found out they were doing multiplayer, like I thought that they were gonna have it where you could live on each other's islands. But I do see the problem with that. I think you'd have to have some type of server set up. I think it would be. I mean, it would make their servers more complicated in the way they have it set up. But it would be really cool if they could figure out a way to do that.
Yeah, or like I don't know, have a specific place set up, kind of like the campsite, where you can have a renter. You know, like okay,
Yeah.
a renter wants to come stay. Like you've gone into business with Tom Nook, and you know he wants to start up. You know, he wants you to help him with this thing or whatever. I don't know. Tom Nook always figures out a way to get my time and money. Um, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity, and who knows what they do. Maybe they will do something like that eventually. I don't know, but I don't know. I feel like the only time I'm ever interested in going, the times where I was interested in going to my friends' islands is like I don't really care what your island looks like, dude. Like I don't care really. You know, what I mean, it's not like whenever I get to it, I'm like that's cool, that's awesome, like that's really cool, but I'm not really gonna like remember it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't even remember my own island. Like I don't even really care enough about designing my own island.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that's what's cool. You kind of mentioned it earlier, is people play the game way different. Like visiting your island and Joe's island, all three of us have pretty different play styles. Like Joe is super focused on his house. Like he's already almost done with his house. He has I think he might have he has three extra rooms already, I'm pretty sure. And I haven't cared less about my house, but I really like designing my island. I think that's really cool. And you're on a completely opposite spectrum. You're just trying to become the richest man in Animal Crossing.
yeah,
And I think that's why, like the turnips, like you've been texting us about turnips a lot, and that is something that I think is really cool. And I eventually want to get into more. Sunday I couldn't get turnips, but That's another thing. I wish that the turnips were at a different time. I don't know why it has to be in the morning.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I agree. That's another little nitpick I have, because sometimes it's like I like wake up in the morning. I'm like turnips. Like literally, that's the first thing I do. Like I literally go check before I say hello to my wife, before I get my coffee, before anything. It's like I need to buy as many turnips as I possibly can.
yeah.
But you kind of touch on something like everybody's play styles are different, and that's great. It's finding a way for all those play styles to kind of mesh and make the multiplayer worth it. Like, I don't know. I feel like it would be, this is just me, as wannabe critic, wannabe game designer, whatever. How dope would it be to have, obviously you can create your own games. Like I've seen these people play, a game called Hide the Bells or whatever. Everyone puts up a certain amount of money and then everyone goes and buries it. And however many you find, whatever, like you get to keep it or something like that. I don't know. We've talked about playing hide and seek. How dope would it be if, once you get on somebody's island, there's like a lobby, and within this lobby, you get to go and do all of these Mario Party-esque things on somebody's island, and like it could be, somebody's like a carnival or something like that. Like, I don't know. It's just me. But you get what I'm saying? Like you get 2 to 4 people on an island, and however much you've upgraded your specific carnival or arcade or however much money you've put into it, you have more games to play there, like little mini games. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I just feel like that would be an intuitive way, no matter what your play style is. Like you're getting together with your friends to play this game that they're super excited because they have a specific mini game that you don't have yet or whatever. I don't know. There's all these things in my mind that's kind of like sky's the limit, and why not make, to me it needs to be more than just I want to go sell turnips at somebody else's place. I already have the fruit that they have. What else is there to really do on somebody's island other than sell turnips or buy items or whatever, in which you can even buy an item for me and send it to me in the mail? Like,
Yeah. I thought there was a way to do that, but I haven't been able to figure it out if there is.
to send an item to somebody.
Yeah. Can you do that?
Yeah, you just go and buy a card at the airlines, and then you can put a gift inside of it.
Oh.
Yeah, I get gifts from
Didn't know
people
that.
all the time, like people in game.
Oh, sweet.
But
You know what I think they should add?
yeah, I was gonna ask you, what would you like to see this game do, like in the future? What are some things that you'd like to see that happen with Animal Crossing?
Well, I think it's inevitable. And for one, since there is such a heavy focus on it being like an island game, at some point, I couldn't even keep it together.
Are you gonna reference Lost?
No, I was just gonna say that I don't know what the player size is, but I don't see why they couldn't do a battle royale of some sort. Maybe 50 or 100 players.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if team deathmatch is on their radar right now.
I mean, you could make it kid friendly. Just so many people you can catch with your net.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You're stupid. I want to see. I'm ready. I'm at the point where it's like, I know it's going to take me a while to get KK sliders on my island, and that's fine. Like, it's going to be a while, and I'm not super pushing super hard for it.
Are you pushing for that?
I mean, I'd like for it to happen eventually, yeah.
Because I think for a lot of people, for me, I could care less if that ever happens. Like, I probably will never push for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much like quest oriented. I tend to focus a lot like on my stamps and stuff for the Nook Miles and stuff that you get redemptions on. I love completing those things. Like, I got the Trash Island a couple of times in a row and ended up like basically completing the like catch the trash quests. Hold on, I gotta turn on my light really quick.
Are we paused?
No, we're just gonna leave it rolling. I basically like filled up all of those because I realized I could complete that side mission or whatever it was by keeping on catching trash. So like I just sat there for an hour. That was my phone.
Oh man.
I just sat there for like an hour, basically just trying to catch trash. And eventually I got that thing, and it was like a really satisfying feeling. So that's one of my favorite things to do, is complete quests in games. And I think that's why games like this never really made sense to me, because there was never really a clear goal in mind. And I think that's kind of where the criticisms are coming from more and more, is like, it's cool that we can make this game whatever we want. However, that's what Animal Crossing has always been, is like, choose your own adventure, do your own thing. Would it be so bad to have, like, on the bulletin board, travelers come through, or vendors come through? The vendors that come through, would it be so bad for them to leave like some weekly quests for you, like weekly activities to try out to get specific things? I don't think that's too much to ask. Just something a little extra to work toward, rather than, oh, I know Rex is coming and I better catch as many bugs as I possibly can, or whatever his name is, the red dinosaur. Like, I better go tarantula hunting, because I don't know if he's going to be here on Tuesday or Wednesday, so I know I better bank as many tarantulas as I possibly can before then. That gets old, bro. Like, tarantulas are fun, and you're not really sure that you're going to catch that many when you do try and go for that thing. Even though it does take time, and even though it is an exploit, it still takes a lot of time to do.
Yeah.
And the game put it there, knowing that you might take advantage of it. You know, there's no way that nobody thought that this tarantula thing could be a thing. Like, there's no way that the developers thought, well, they could just spawn trap people, or spawn trap these animals. Like, they're not stupid. They want you to be able to catch things and do what you want. But I want more. Like, I want more auxiliary things to do other than whatever I can come up with, because I guess I'm just not creative enough. And a lot of people would probably be in the comments saying, like, you should design your stuff, and I like designing my house, but I'm not the type of person that just goes to the store just to spend money. Like, I go to the store, and if I see something that pertains to something that, like, makes sense to me, or that clicks, I'll buy it. I don't know where I'm going to put it eventually, but I don't know where I'm going to put it, but eventually I will have a place for it. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think?
That's what I do too. I do that exact same thing.
Do you think that there would be riots in the streets should we have, like, you know, Nook Inc. comes out and says, you know, we're going to be adding weekly activities besides the fishing tournament and stuff like that? We're going to have weekly activities posted on your bulletin board. Everybody's will be different. There it is. Another reason to go to someone's island.
Yeah.
You go to someone's island.
Really cool.
You go to someone's island, and their bulletin board is different than your bulletin board. I mean,
no, yeah, that would be pretty sweet. There's so many things that they have the ability to do with the game, and since they are putting out content for it, it sounds like they have a lot of plans. So I think that they will slowly release stuff, and it'll be interesting to see what they do. But yeah, there is a lot of potential for sure, especially with the fishing tournament having, like, I don't know, they could put on, like, tournaments, like, I don't know exactly how they would do it, but just assign people to different islands, and, like, a bunch of people meet up at an island or whatever, and you can have, different events of different kinds. But that interaction, that's something that it'll be interesting to kind of see how they adapt to that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at too, is that interaction. The multiplayer interaction, it's like, okay, we got multiplayer in an Animal Crossing game. That's awesome. Like, that is incredible. That's a huge push for the franchise, for sure. Why is it there right now? That's my biggest question. Is
except, the stock market is obviously really cool. Like, I think that's the biggest reason it's there. But you could easily do that, like, over a mailing system. There's no reason you have to travel to someone's island for that reason.
Yeah,
I could very easily take that out.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is I feel like they're just playing it safe, right? Where it's like they want to make sure they have all their ducks in a row before they start adding stuff, which is smart, which is a very Nintendo move, anyways. I mean, how long has it been since we've had a Direct? Like months since we've had a proper Direct. Nintendo wants to make sure that not only them as a company, but everybody in their repertoire of people that are developing for them have their ducks in a row, so that whenever it does come time to present something, what you're getting is legit, because that's how they operate. And, you know, even something like with Metroid Prime 4. Metroid Prime 4 is in development. They come out and said, basically, in not so many words, they said, this sucks right now. So it's not fair to you to keep you in expectation knowing that it's not ready. You know, and I feel like that's why Nintendo's kind of been out of the console war, you know, that was existent for so long, and it's really kind of diminishing now at this point. Is Nintendo set the standard and set the bar, right? So everyone else is just following suit at this point and trying to replicate the success that Nintendo has had. That being said, that comes kind of a stubborn personality whenever things and eventually do fail. Wii U, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my point I'm getting at is we know more stuff is coming. Like, there's going to be cool stuff happening. I do think it'll be bigger than I do think it'll be on a scale close to what we've been talking about this entire time on this podcast. I by no means want to say that I'm disappointed in the game. It's probably my game of the year so far, honestly. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 right now. Probably not. But I don't think that there's been a game so far that's been so easy to get into and has made such an impact on me. Like I can't remember the last time where, you know, there's always the thing of, like I was talking before, like I'm playing Persona, I'm having a great time with Persona, and like I think about the mechanics and like the way that game's working, and I'm 10 hours in, it's still like tutorial mode, basically, like almost like baby mode in the first palace. But in Animal Crossing, like I'm a millionaire and I know what I'm doing, yet I still feel like I have such a far road to, you know, to travel, basically. So I don't know. I feel like Animal Crossing New Horizons is super duper special. And obviously, like, this is a soft review. So I think it would be proper. You know, I feel like we both put 30 to 50 hours into the game. I wouldn't feel too sad about giving it a score right now, a current score, and maybe revisiting it at another time.
I would really like to revisit it, because I feel 30 with as much time as I've put in it, I feel like I'm still like in the very, very, very early stages of the game, because there's a lot of mechanics I don't have yet, just from what I've seen on YouTube and stuff. And there's a lot of villagers I've never seen, and it'll be interesting to see how our opinions may or may not change.
Yeah, I agree. So,
but I would definitely be up for giving it a score.
Yeah. So, do you have anything else that you really want to say about this game right now?
I don't think so. We think we've covered it.
Yeah, I
well.
think we've you know, kind of not talked it to death, but I feel like we've kind of gotten our first impressions out, so to speak. You know, 50 hours into a game, I'm still getting first impressions, but I mean, that's nothing in Animal Crossing years. Why don't you go first? Why don't you go ahead and give it a review in progress? What is your current score?
So I'm going to try to be unbiased, because my current enjoyment of the game is rather low, but I think a lot of that is attributed to the fact that I've been pretty sucked into a different game right now. But I think for what it's trying to do, it is a terrific game. And it's like we've talked about, it's not perfect, but I'm very comfortable giving it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, well said. We call that being objective. Whenever you try and take something for what it is, and the fact of the matter is I'm right there with you. I think there's things about it that I'm sure if there's ever a way to change it, that'd be awesome. There's still like little gripes and nitpicks that I have, which anytime I've given anything on any content I've ever done a 10 out of 10, it's been very minimal things that really don't really impact the experience at all. And I don't think that this game doesn't have those things where my experience isn't impacted, or that there's things that are left to the imagination, as we've talked about on this podcast, whereas pretty much any time I've ever experienced something with a 10 out of 10, there's never been a time where I'm like, oh, they should have done this, or I wish they would have done that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for me, though, I feel like this is a really, really solid game so far. I feel like anyone any person who loves video games is going to enjoy this game in some way, shape, or form. Fact of the matter. Like, you don't like Animal Crossing? I don't care. You need to sit down with it for 10 hours and tell me you don't like it after that. So I'm going to go with a 9.5 because I think it's a very strong game with with just a couple of things that impact my overall experience. But I'm looking forward to getting back. I want to play it tonight. Want to sell some of my turnips. I keep going to shake out my fruit, but I keep remembering that I pretty much layered my entire island with turnips, and then I filled up my pockets with turnips. So I need to sell some turnips today so that I can. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, have you made the mistake of burying your turnips yet?
No, I just put them on the ground.
Oh, okay.
What happens if you bury them?
I think they go bad immediately if you bury them.
Oh, really?
But that might not be right. I read that somewhere.
Well, so I don't know if that's right because it's not like you can just put all of your turnips into one like category and then just bury that one item.
Yeah.
So
no, not so what I had seen was there was like a YouTuber or something, and he didn't know what to do with his turnips, so he just buried all of them. And like a couple days later, when it came time to sell them, he had a really good price. I think like 300 or 400, and he dug them up, and they were like all spoiled or whatever happens to them whenever they go bad.
That sucks. Like ants. I think you get ants.
Oh yeah, so I think he lost several million bells.
That sucks. That really sucks. Yeah, if anything happened to my current stock right now, I'd pretty much be bankrupt because I spent pretty much every bell I had this past Sunday on turnips.
So how many bells did you spend?
1.7 million.
Oof.
Yeah, so part of me is like I bought them for 90 a piece. So part of me is like I have 96. Like you text me today, you have 93 on your island. I have 96. Part of me wants to sell it, but it's like, man, I'm only turning,
Oh, dude, no.
Like
before Sunday, you'll definitely have one of us will have over 110 at least for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. Like I don't know. To me, it's been worth it. My original, I get nervous. So like my original thing was like, okay, so if I buy something at a certain price, it needs to be at least over 50. Like at least over 50 what I originally bought it for me to sell it back. And that strategy has been working pretty good, especially since after I sell my turnips, pretty much the price isn't quite as good as it was before. So I don't know. I'm wondering, this is something I haven't really seen, like once Nook and Cranny gets upgraded, do your bill prices go up? Because I see people all the time with hundreds and hundreds of, like Nook and Cranny will buy things for 500 to 600 bells, per thing. So I wonder if after they upgrade their shop and like they get more clout, can they sell the turnips for more or something like that? I don't know. I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but
I think it's just random because that would kind of screw up the whole stock market if that was the case.
Yeah, that's true. But it is kind of crazy. Like I see people on Reddit. I'm on a Reddit thread, and I never will be able to get into one of these because as soon as someone posts a picture of like, oh, I have my turnip prices are at 400, there's like 50 people in that thread being like, oh, can I get your dodo code? Yeah, just waiting. Like, oh, can I get your dodo code? Can I help you?
Are you podcasting?
Yeah, this is my wife, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Hi, Emma.
Never mind.
Okay. Bye. God bless her. Yeah, it's like, oh, can I get your dodo code? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, I'll never be able to get that price unless I just, by the grace of God, happen to do it.
Yeah, but what's really cool about that is seeing that, though, if you ever do get a really good price, kind of like whenever I let you on my island the other day, I don't know if you're just throwing me a bone because I was poor, but because you were on my island, I think that's like common courtesy.
Yeah, the tips.
You give tips. So those guys are making so much bank.
Yeah.
Whenever they have a good price.
Yeah.
Because I think they'll like say, I want 20% or whatever of your profits.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I've seen a lot of people that are like, just leave me a tip, whatever, whatever you got.
Yeah.
You made, which I don't even, how much did I give you? I don't remember.
A lot, like 130,000 or more.
Yeah, it's chump change, whatever.
It was a lot. It was a lot for me.
That's just the thing of it too. Is there's parts of me that I will. There's a part of me that's like, I want to be able to get a good price, because what if I do see something that Joe is looking for, or Carter is looking for, or like I know Carter wants this thing, but he doesn't really have the money for it right now, and it'll take him forever or whatever. It's nice to know that at some point I'm going to have millions of bells to where it's like I'll be able to buy and do whatever I want, And whenever it comes to terraforming, like terraforming is expensive. Like you want a ramp made, I think it's like 300,000 bells or something like that. I mean, it gets expensive. So, there's part of me that's like, I know I'm going to need money. And there's been multiple times where I think I'm on my second or whatever house you get that has the additional room. I literally only upgraded to that house because I needed more storage. So, to me, I'm kind of in the same thing with you, where I'm not really as focused on my house, but I want more storage. So I have the money to pay off my house right now. I've had it for weeks, but I don't want to, because I would rather keep the money and just wait until I need the storage to do it. Just one of those things, like, it's just kind of like you can really get to know somebody based on how their island looks. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is kind of crazy to think about, because someone comes to my island and they go to the west side of my island, they see that literally the entire west side of my island is all trees. That's all it is trees. And if you saw what's in my storage, it's like, I'm a hoarder. I just hoard things. I like to have things, and that's how I am at Stardew too. It's the same thing. But I love this game. I think it's definitely, you mentioned it, and so have other people. It's like the most important game you could be playing right now, or like the most important game that's come out during this time. And it's kind of crazy whenever you think about something like Doom Eternal launching.
Sorry, Gabe.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm leaving in 30 minutes.
Where?
I'm going to the park with my family to watch the movie.
Okay. I love you. Have a nice time.
She's going to the park with her family in 30 minutes. I'm not cutting that out, just so you know.
That's fine.
What was I saying?
You were saying that this is very important.
I agree. Yeah. It's like super important, for right now during this time of the COVID-19 virus. And it blows my mind that it can launch same day as something like Doom. Doom came out the same day as Animal Crossing. And I don't know, it's just weird that, people have, I don't play Doom. I'm not into that kind of stuff, but people played Doom. They thought it was great, whatever, cool game. No one's talking about it. No one cares. Like, no one, that isn't coming up in news headlines anymore. But there's things continuously coming out about Animal Crossing, and it's being shown more and more on IGN and Polygon and things like that, because that's what everyone's doing right now. So it's just really cool to kind of be a part of that, and to have, you're gonna have memories burned into your mind for the rest of your life because of Animal Crossing, like New Horizons. And that's, to me, that is enough to warrant clout to a game, and it's enough for me to say, like, there's so many things about this game that make me want to come back to it every single day, but that's a big one, is I'm making memories, and that's something that not a lot of games can do for me.
Yeah. I think it's been kind of hard. I don't think it has had the same effect on me, and maybe even probably not you, as to some people, those that have been like truly quarantined and haven't been able to leave their house really at all. If maybe they have gotten sick, and people that aren't used to being in that position, a game like this is, really important. I'm sure that this game has helped people's mental health in a lot of ways. And it's probably, in some pretty important ways. I'm sure that this game for the foreseeable future will be the main game a lot of people are playing. And I know there's a lot of people who don't even play video games that are playing this game just to stay sane. So that's pretty cool. Yeah,
it's really cool. It's super solid game. We, those of us who have played it here over at the Wannabe Critic, we obviously really, really like it. And, I feel like that is a really good way to end this review. Is on the most positive of notes. It's like this is literally saving people's lives. So, pretty great. Video games are cool. Never forget that, everybody. We're ready to wrap up the show here. Kind of wanted to let you guys in on a little secret. Hopefully we'll be seeing more of Carter because starting in the next couple of weeks, we're actually going to have a separate feed specifically dedicated to video games called Game Club. Carter and I will be starting our project. I have one project I've been working on. This is something I've been planning for a while. It'll be a separate podcast feed. As well as, we're actually launching a YouTube channel specifically for all the podcasts that we put out. It's just called the Wannabe Critic podcast. And, pretty much anytime we sit down to do a podcast, you'll be able to find it there. But Carter and I are actually going to be starting our next project, which will be Xenoblade Chronicles once it releases on Nintendo Switch. It's going to be a long-term thing. Stay tuned, though, in the next couple of weeks for the first few episodes coming out. And actually, I should correct myself. We're having a separate podcast feed for Game Club, but the Game Club episodes won't be video. My bad. They will only be audio. But this one, since it's just a regular episode, this is obviously going to be video. But stay tuned for some more announcements coming to the channel because I just want to make sure all the content we do a lot of stuff here. So I just want to make sure everything's going through the right channels. Because I want to make sure it gets into the right hands, and if there's an audience for it, that's great. But Carter, I can't wait to take that journey with you and for you to, kind of build up your podcasting chops. We have a new episode coming out within the next couple of weeks where we should be sitting down with Jason Mikey to kind of commemorate the podcast a little bit and kind of talk about our history with it and maybe do some sort of special topic. Because I think actually this is the 100th episode of the Wannabe Critic. So,
this is, or that will be.
I think this is actually. I think we're at 100 now. So it's
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But anyways, Carter, I want to thank you for coming on the show. It was nice to be able to sit down with you for an hour or so and talk about Animal Crossing. I feel like we pretty much covered all the bases then in my mind that I really wanted to talk about. And what a game! It's just a dope game. So, anyways, I feel like that's about all I have to say. Do you have anything you want to say, Carter?
I love you.
I love you too, man. Do you want people to be able to find you on social media?
I don't care.
Okay. Well, you can throw out your handle if you want to.
I can eventually, if I become more
regular,
you can find me on Wannabe Critic.
Okay, there you go. You can find him here. As always, you can email us at geeklybiweekly1@gmail.com. You can find me, Gabriel Fast, on pretty much any social media platform at the Wannabe Critic. Reach out to us sometime. Let us know what you think of the show. As always, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, stay tuned because we have several projects in the works here that are going to kind of warrant some attention from you all. And I hope you guys enjoy what is to come. But thank you for tuning into this episode, and we will see you guys next time.